So what do you say? You want to see my secret?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Muscle Man Show, or as we call it, Abby's Window. Abby's Window, guys, we are here to discuss some really cool things that went on with Bray Wyatt the last few days. So, Jodie, start us off. What happened over the weekend?
We got two very, very beautiful pieces of entertainment from Bray Wyatt. First, we got that episode on the bump. I'm going to call it a Funhouse episode because it kind of was. It was a Muscle Man workout dance, which was absolutely hilarious. I was crying, laughing the entire way through it. We got Bray doing dancing. We got him running away from a pig. We got him taking his shirt off. It was an absolutely fantastic episode. It was hilarious.
Let's keep it right there, Jodie, before we even get into the match, because let's just. So I think it's safe to say, and we've said this we've said this on past shows, that Bray's Muscle Man character is the dude love face of Bray, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think that's very safe to say. The Muscle Man is his comic relief. I mean, even more so than Funhouse Bray. Funhouse Bray, we're seeing, and we'll get to this, we're seeing a little bit of a different personality on Funhouse Bray now. He's the introvert. So where he's the introvert, Muscle Man is the extrovert. He's the one who's outgoing and boisterous and stuff like that. And like Jodie said, let's start it at the beginning because they were expecting Bray as an interview. Well, listen, we all knew that probably wasn't going to go well.
Right.
And the hosts knew it wasn't going to go well. And then all of a sudden we got a Funhouse theme and we got Ramblin' Rabbit.
Yay!
Ramblin' Rabbit started off the show, and Ramblin' was saying, poor Ramblin'. Ramblin' just wants some attention. He even said to them, why don't you interview me? And then, no, Bray wasn't going to have that.
Nope.
So, and then we got the Muscle Man thing. I don't even know where to start. There was so much in this little vignette, this little,
I know.
I mean, Bray on a Dance Revolution machine, Bray, yes, the pig chasing the pig. I mean, was that a scene from was that supposed to be when Rocky Balboa was chasing the chicken? That Bray's version of that. We got the Hulk Hogan tribute, and that brought back memories. When he ripped off the shirt and it was in the background, you see the stars and the stripes and the fireworks and stuff. Again, very Hulk Hogan, very Hulk Hogan-esque. But oh man, we even got a creepy little part where he was training his mind and he drew the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we saw the pyramid and we saw the number of the beast. We saw 666 next to the pyramid. So, I again, so much stuff in these little things that Bray does. But yeah, Jodie, I don't know.
You got
Jeff,
Bray having sex with a barbell.
I was just going to say, see, you read my mind. I was just going to say, Jeff, I was just going to say, I bet you I know what part of this thing Jodie loved the most. I bet you know what part. And I'm thinking the dumbbell part, and I was just, see the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say that. So there you go.
Surprisingly, that was not my favorite part.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, because,
sure you did.
As I've said before, I'm married, not blind.
I'm sure you did. Yes.
Actually, my favorite part was him running away from the pig.
That was hilarious.
It was just really funny.
That was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. We got a workout video, in essence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, if we were living back in the day of VCRs, this would have fit perfectly. He could have put this thing out as a half-hour workout tape, and this thing would have sold like hotcakes. Because I don't even remember what else he was doing. I know we had the barbells, we had the dance, we had the pig chase, we had him ripping off his shirt. The Sasquatch thing. I thought that was hilarious. The fact that how do you beat a Sasquatch?
Yeah.
And then he has and he's talking and he has
Weak spots.
He has Braun's T-shirt on. He's doing, I'm like, man, it sounds so good. You know what? I gotta say, and we'll get into this a little more in the show when we talk about the match. I've got to say, kudos. I mean, listen, we all love Bray. We've mentioned that a gazillion times, but you know what? Whether he's writing this all or Bruce Pritchard is helping him with it as well, kudos to them for writing this stuff, man, because this was absolutely entertaining and hilarious. So kudos to him. He can this guy, if he's doing this or most of this, and we've heard that from Kyle, we've heard that from other people. If Bray, if you're doing this, man, hats off, because you can not only write horror, but you can write comedy as well. And there's not too many people that can do that unless your name is Jordan Peele, and you're doing comedy and now you're making big horror movies like Us and stuff like that. Not many people can do that. So hats off, man. That's amazing.
As Hulk Hogan said, he's a funny guy. He's got jokes.
He does have jokes. Jeff, did you see the bump, and what did you think of all this, man?
Well, I think the underrated star in all of this, aside from Bray, is the old guy just putting in work the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
where did that come from?
I mean,
no idea.
I mean, the core strength that this guy has to be able to sit on the, stability ball and do his little 2-pound weights. I mean, kudos to that guy, because that was awesome.
Yeah,
keep doing what you're doing, dude.
Yeah, keep doing it, man.
I mean,
no, I enjoy the whole thing. I really like the Dance Revolution thing was just so funny to me. I mean, that was so funny. But yeah, the thing with the barbell, that's a real listen. That is a real thing. Like, other people do that. It's not just him, trying to drive.
It's not
Jodie
just him
and other
trying to
people
torture
crazy.
me and Brittany.
Yeah, I promise it's not. That's a real thing. I mean, he put in some good stuff, there. So, shout out to Bray. He's motivated me to go back to the gym whenever they open.
There you go. Look at that. See? Now, and how
mission
about
accomplished.
Did you get the Shawn Michaels pose?
Yes.
How about the Shawn Michaels pose?
Yes. I noticed that as well.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, you know what? When this is over and I'm looking at Twitter and I'm looking at other social media, and all I'm seeing is, and this is not from all women, by the way. This is guys too, and they're like, "Wow, Bray's jacked." I'm like, yeah, I you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, this is a new Bray Wyatt we're seeing here. It's shredded, ripping off the shirt. It's like Jeff said, he's doing these exercises. We might see The Rock doing in a gym, and hey. Give credit where it's due. But listen, he's done this kind of thing before, big matches. And, we know we've seen him as a weatherman on a news station. We've seen him playing quiz show games on radio stations with a DJ. I've seen that. So we've seen him do this kind of stuff before. But look, to give a vignette like that, again, we talked to Brandy about classic stuff, but this takes you back almost to the days of like Mr. Perfect and doing his little vignettes and stuff, like completely on the side, and it's not necessarily during a wrestling show. So, I love it. I really do. When you heard he was going to be on there, we knew we were in for something good, and man, there you go.
Yeah, and Bray is jacked, but I still have a soft spot for cult leader Bray.
Well, you might get jacked cult leader Bray. So, best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, he might have to get himself a little bit of an extra big Hawaiian shirt there to to fit the upper body in. Yeah.
I love that he called himself a sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Oh
yes,
man, yes. He's got a fascination with the dinosaur thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering, after we saw the dinosaur bones in Vince's office.
Yeah.
Little bit of a correlation there with the Tyrannosaurus in the okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, might be. Oh man, so guys, if you missed the bump, go back and watch it. It was really good, and like Jodie said, it was an episode of the Funhouse because it started that way. Ramblin' was there, and then it went right to. So it was almost like an extra a Funhouse episode, if you will, and like the older ones that we saw right at the beginning, and with the Muscle Man stuff. Whenever we get the Muscle Man stuff, we know it's going to be fun. You know what? I wouldn't even mind seeing him come down and wrestle as the Muscle Man once.
Only if he's not wearing a shirt.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't. Oh, and I love the creepy Hulk Hogan theme too. I love how they slowed down the Hulk Hogan theme, because that was real American. I was listening for that, and I'm like, oh, and they slowed it down, made it real slow. Very, very cool, very creepy. I love that too. But yeah, definitely part of Bray's work, definitely part of the persona, is the Muscle Man. So yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it. So let's move on, shall we? Let's go to Money in the Bank, and let's dig in to this match. Now, if you guys had watched last week, in fact, I can't speak for that. Jeff and Jodie, you guys did the last episode of Abby's Window. I'm sure you guys talked about this match. So go right ahead, step in, and did this go the way you guys thought it was going to go?
Yeah. I kind of said two things. I said some other things too, which turned out to be wrong. But my two big things were that Braun was going to end up wearing that mask by choice or by force. And I said that, what else did I say? That Braun was going to end up retaining. And those are the two big things that happened. He ended up putting the mask on, and he ended up retaining the belt. And I actually really liked it. I wasn't expecting it to be a clean pin. I was expecting it to have kind of a weird finish. But it was so perfect for the storyline for it to end that way, because, now Braun has committed the ultimate betrayal, and, he acted like he was going to rejoin Bray, and then stomped on the mask and pinned him. And now Bray's pissed. And something interesting, actually, I was watching it again earlier tonight. Bray said something really, really interesting that kind of adds to that. He said, I told him, give me a chance. I told him I would find you. And he said that a couple of times, like, I told him I would bring you back, kind of things like that. And, obviously the Fiend wanted to go after Braun initially, if you're to do, speculation, obviously. But my theory is, obviously the Fiend wanted to go after Braun, but Bray said, no, this is my buddy. He's my brother. Let me bring him back. Trust me, I got this. Let me do it. Give me a chance to bring him home. And he failed. So obviously now the Fiend is pissed. So now he's going to have to go out and do it because Bray failed. But interesting to note, is the Fiend going to be pissed at Bray now? Is Bray going to have to be punished for his failure?
That's an interesting theory. Let's get back to that. Jeff, did this go the way you thought it was going to go? And then we'll go right back to that theory that Jodie just had.
Yes and no. I thought that we would get Braun retaining. I did think that the mask would come into play, which it did. Like Jodie, I didn't see the clean pin for the finish. I thought we'd get something a little screwy with, like a DQ or something like that. But I'm glad that we didn't. And, like Jodie said with the storyline, it advances the storyline a little
Perfectly.
bit more. And Jodie, I love that theory that you just gave. So yeah, I mean, it did, but it didn't. And And I don't think that it made either guy look bad. What I actually think is we're starting to see a crack in Funhouse Bray. We're starting to see him kind of deteriorate a little bit. You could see him, showing some anguish during the match. He really didn't want to do some of the things he had to do, but it also made Braun look really strong as a champion. So I was really, really pleased with how they did that match.
Yeah, and I'll echo your guys' comments. So again, like the two of you, I didn't fully expect the way it ended. I didn't think it'd be a clean pin either. I mentioned on the show that I thought it was going to be a screwy finish as well. Give all the credit to Jodie for calling out that Braun was going to end up with that mask. She told me that the day before it happened, and said that he's going to have that mask on at some point somehow. Now, turn it around, and Braun playing a little bit of mind games of his own, playing on the weak one. And guys, we can get into this whole thing too, because we mentioned this a few episodes back. And I still compare a lot of this and his character to the character in the movie Split. So now we're seeing that Funhouse Bray character is the weak link. That character is the weak link. That character is the one that can be had. That character is the one that can be beaten. That character is the one that can be, manipulated, let's say, by people. And Braun proved that. Braun manipulated him and played on his emotions. That character is the one that has the emotion. The Fiend does not. The Fiend is the reverse. The Fiend is the one that you can't hurt. The Fiend is the one who can't feel pain and doesn't care. And he's just out to beat you. He doesn't care what he does. And you can see, like Jeff pointed out, almost as, when Bray was holding his head with his hands during that match, and you could see the struggle, and you knew, and I think, Jeff, I think you mentioned this too, when he was in the center of that ring and Braun came in with that mask on, the acting that he did there, where he almost broke down, knowing that this man has come back to him. He turned back to what he was. Kudos to him again. Yeah, doing that. I mean, it was an emotional moment. You could see it in his face, like relieved, almost a sense of relief and joy and happiness all at the same time, that he got him back. And then when he turned, boy, oh boy, you saw how
that face.
Yep. You saw how it ended with Bray in the corner of the ring, and then the snippet of the Fiend popping up on the screen, so you know that the Fiend is coming back. And look, the more the Fiend comes out, the more Funhouse Bray gets driven away. And I love it. I love it. And I love your theory where, where you said that now, is he going to be punished as well? I think punishing Funhouse Bray is keeping him away, like keeping that personality out of the picture, and keeping him pushed down where he doesn't get to come out and have his little happy moments in his funhouse anymore and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see. I mean, maybe there's even more to it.
Yeah. And like you said, kudos to Bray for those emotional moments, and you felt that with him. I mean, you felt his joy, you felt the relief that that he was right, that when he told the Fiend, give me a chance, I will bring him home, and he did, and he felt that relief that that the Fiend wasn't going to hurt Braun now, that he accomplished what he told the Fiend he was going to accomplish, that he was going to bring him home. And it was that sense of, I did it. And even, was it Abby? One of the puppets said it, you did it, Bray. And it was that sense of relief that Braun doesn't have to be hurt now. And then he stomped on that mask, and all of that joy just, it was like he saw a ghost. It just drained out of his face. And he almost had that look like, you have no idea what you just did. Like, you just committed the ultimate betrayal. And I think that's why Braun was able to pin him cleanly, because he was so hurt by that, because Funhouse Bray is the emotional side. He's the one that feels everything, that he kind of gave up. He was so hurt that he couldn't do anything else.
Yep.
And then he kind of slinks off to the corner, and he's laying there, and his eyes start to change, and you can see that he's starting to get angry, and the Fiend's coming forward maybe a little bit. And then you get those flashes of the Fiend, and Braun has no idea what he just did. The Fiend is out to get revenge on people that betrayed him. Bray said before that Braun never left. He was drafted, and now he's betrayed him.
Yep.
So the Fiend is going to get his revenge.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying, and I mentioned this to Jeff last night. The perfect pay-per-view coming up, Backlash. Well, that's about the perfect segue that you can have. Is going to be Backlash here for sure. I definitely, without a doubt, see a Fiend attack in Braun's future, the very near future. I'm thinking. I don't think that will wait until the match. It didn't with Seth. During that point, the Fiend was coming out and intimidating him week after week after week, and I can see that coming now for Braun as well. So yeah,
I think it'll segue a little bit. I don't think that we see Bray on SmackDown this week, because he's kind of notorious for that.
Yeah.
For not being on the next episode after a pay-per-view. But I could see the next Funhouse episode just being Bray really distraught and upset, and saying that he feels betrayed, and maybe hinting that I didn't want to hurt you. This was about, I didn't want this, he could say something like, I didn't want this to happen, but now it's going to have to. You've made me, he's even said that during the match, look what you made me do. Mm-hmm. So I could see him coming out, the next Funhouse episode in a couple of weeks, just being really upset and saying, Braun, you look what you made me do, or you're going to make me do. Or I think we get a little bit of a segue to that, because obviously they have a month to build this up. Right. So I think Bray will start this off, with the betrayal, and maybe that's the next chapter, that, that the title is The Ultimate Betrayal. And yeah.
Could be. We got to see more puppets. I love when they use the puppets around the around the ring. We got Huskus down there, so I love when they do that. Because it expands it even more. Like, and I like it too, because the other wrestlers don't acknowledge them. And so I love that, because it's not like the wrestler stands there and looks at Huskus and acknowledges that the puppet's there.
But Bray does.
Yeah, right. I like it, because again, this is all in his head. So he's seeing these puppets, telling him what to do. And the Huskus puppet is the closest one to his, to that personality, to the Funhouse personality. So seeing him there and trying to root him on in this match was awesome. And then, like you said, we got the puppets all celebrating when they thought he won. Look, the puppets want Funhouse Bray to win. They want him to exist. They don't want him. They don't want the Fiend driving him back. They are all afraid of the Fiend. We know that. So they don't want, Bray gone. And the more he loses himself, the more he loses them, and the more the Fiend becomes the permanent part of that personality. So yeah, man, I thought it was great. I thought, like you guys were saying, it furthered the story. And obviously we are going to get a big thing at Backlash. So Jodie gave her opinion. Excuse me. Jeff, what do you think is coming next? Do you think he's going to show up this week on SmackDown? If so, how soon is it before we get Braun getting attacked?
I think we get it this week.
Okay.
I know typically Bray, doesn't always come back right after a pay-per-view, but I think we get it this week. And the reason I say that is because that match, the way that it was done and the emotion that was in it, I don't think that that's something that can wait. I think we'll see that start to pour out this week, and I think we will get an attack this week.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I don't know. I'm kind of getting, I can see both your points, but I'm kind of getting that too. And I don't think look, we're back to, I think, the fact that you're not going to see this coming. It's been a little while, right, where we have gotten a Fiend attack, a classic attack where the lights go out and, the noise comes and all of a sudden he's there. We haven't seen that in a while. And the few times we have, it was choreographed. The other wrestlers knew he was coming. So it wasn't a surprise at all. Well, I think we're in for it now, because now, like Jodie said, he's got motivation. He's going to be in complete control now, and he is pissed. So I think that we see, you're going to see brutality. Now, we spoke about this as well prior to this a couple weeks ago. I wasn't on last week's show, and again, thank you to Jeff and Jodie for doing the show this past week. Great job by you two guys on Abby's. But if he can't do the mandible claw, because we mentioned this, then I don't know. I don't know where they. I mean, do they have to at this point maybe give him another finisher?
I don't think so. I think the fact that it is Braun Strowman, and I think if it was anybody else, they probably wouldn't let him do it. But I think they may actually, because it's Braun Strowman and they're such good friends, I think they may actually leave it up to them. Because the Sister Abigail that he did actually kiss him on the forehead. He did, and it was a
lengthy kiss on the forehead too.
So I could see them leaving it up to them. Like, you guys are close. Are you okay? Are you okay with this happening? Obviously they'll take precautions, for that if that's the road that they want to go down. But I do see I don't think they'll give him another finisher just because of that. I think because it's Braun Strowman, they're very good friends, that they'll leave it up to them. And I think Braun will be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. I would agree, because again, they, look, they are best friends. They travel a lot with each other. They know each other very well. So again, when you're talking about the virus and things like that outside, you would definitely trust your best friend to divulge anything like that, obviously, more than you maybe would somebody else that you just work with. So,
well, obviously it helps that, Bray wears a glove.
True.
And there are, safety precautions. You can do that too. You make sure the glove is sanitized before you do anything. If it's just going to be a sneak attack like that, make sure that, that hand that he's going to use doesn't touch anything else, that he doesn't touch his face, blah, blah, blah. There are precautions that you can use with that as well.
Yeah, and you know what, the camera angles and stuff like that too, they could film it as such where he can almost kind of just take his hand, kind of put the knuckles underneath and kind of make it look like he's got the fingers in his mouth too.
Yeah.
And just kind of rest them maybe on his chin somehow or something like that too. So there's ways that they could do that. So
I think they're enjoying working together so much that they'll just do whatever.
I agree.
I don't think Bray's intimidated by a virus.
No.
He's a backwoods country boy. He's not afraid of anything.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I again, we talked about this when this started, and I think that the fact that the two of them are so close makes this even more fun to watch, because when you get two guys that are so close to one another doing these matches together. It's a cool thing. And listen, that's another reason why. Look, we had some comments on our Twitter page for the pay-per-view, and a lot of you talked about this match. I know Jesse mentioned some things and Moda mentioned some things. But look, I think, you can argue all day long. And I know there's going to be people that came out of this, because there's always the naysayers and the ones who are always saying, oh my God, Bray lost again. You're going to have that. But look, I think that they're doing what's best for both of them. And I think that's what's kind of cool when you get this matchup, is that they're doing what's best. Like, Bray wants to do what's best for Braun. And look, guys, Braun losing the title in this match would have killed him. Braun,
and it would have killed the story. Like, if he lost, then the Fiend has no reason to go after him.
Right. But and even, I mean, him losing that title so soon after winning it pretty much buries that character. It really does. Let's be honest. And this is not doing anything to tarnish Funhouse Bray's character, because look, he only wrestled one previous match. Yeah, he beat The Miz, but again, there was no storyline with The Miz, really. It was created, it was faction there. So, it doesn't mean anything for Funhouse Bray to lose. Compare this to Mick Foley. Didn't really make much difference when Dude Love lost a match.
Right.
As opposed to Mankind, or as opposed to, Mick himself, so I don't really think it matters. And I think that this is why they're choreographing this way, because look, let's start off with Funhouse Bray, and listen, you're going to pin Funhouse Bray clean, and then we're just going to continue the story. So yes, it's going to continue. It's going to go. So, I mean, Jeff, do you see this going? Because I think you and I were talking about this too right after the match was over. I was surprised by where this match was shown. Were any of you guys surprised this was shown so early in the pay-per-view?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I knew that the Money in the Bank was going to take up most of the time. And I kind of knew, and I knew it was kind of a short pay-per-view.
Right.
So I knew that it was going to be early on or somewhere in the middle.
How about you, Jeff? Because I know you mentioned it to me. You were kind of surprised. I know I texted you, and you were kind of surprised it was coming up when it did.
Yeah, I was a little shocked. I thought that maybe it would go on a little bit later, but in hindsight, looking at the Money in the Bank match, and then the match that Seth and Drew had, I understand it. But I also think it's interesting that match was pre-recorded. Because I mean, if you look at the rest of it, aside from the Money in the Bank match, everything else was live. And then when that match came on, it didn't have the live in the corner. So
I think that may have something to do with the fact that the puppets were there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bray, I'm almost, excuse me, I'm almost positive Bray does a couple of the voices for them. So that's, I wasn't surprised that it wasn't live.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jeff. I was surprised a little bit, but again, knowing that the Money in the Bank matches themselves were going to be the highlight, and they always were. This was not a major pay-per-view, guys. I mean, when the major ones are coming and which ones are the big pay-per-views. And listen, the bottom line is, you are probably not going, and this is fine with me. If this is the way this goes going forward, I'm fine with it. You're not going to see the Fiend at non-major pay-per-views. You're just not. And I'm okay with
unless it's a dark match.
Right. I'm fine with that, because look, if we're building up to this character being, and we've mentioned this as well, to Bray's character being on the level of the Undertaker, the less you see, the better. The less you see, the better. So this, and how many of the people out there, and again, I'll get to the to these people who complain about everything, whether, well, Bray lost and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay. But, and the people out there that complain about seeing the Fiend too much, right? Because then they're saying, oh, this is going to be ruined because it's not even scary anymore. He's on all the time. Well, now he's not. So he hasn't been on for a little bit. You haven't really seen him very much. That little bit of time in the Funhouse match. So you haven't seen him very much now at all. So now it's kind of backing off a little bit, which is good to me. That's just going to make it more special when he does show up.
And here's what because I got a lot of messages too about, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Bray lost, blah, 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 blah. And I've said the same thing to every single one of them. Like, you're a Bray fan. You have to trust him. Trust the story. He's always been a brilliant storyteller, and he's just telling us a story. Not every story is going to be all sunshines and roses. And Bray's even said this in interviews. There are peaks and valleys to everybody's career, and you can't win every single match because then it does get boring and it does get old. Because you come out and you're like, oh, well, they're going to win this, so why am I watching? There has to be peaks and valleys to every storyline. I mean, some of the great novels of our time, there's ups and downs. There's good moments. There's bad moments. There's times when the people that you don't want to succeed have succeeded, and there's people that you want to succeed that don't. And that's what makes a beautiful story. So that's what I'm going to say. You've got to trust Bray. You've got to trust the story and see the bigger picture.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I just want to add to that. One of my favorite terms in wrestling is long-term storytelling.
Yes.
And I think it's a lost art nowadays because so many people want everything right now and at their disposal, and it's got to happen right then.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. And I think that a lot of times, and not saying that this is always the case with WWE, but I think sometimes they've gotten into trouble because of the fan backlash when certain storylines play out the way that they do. So like Jodie said, you have to trust in the character. You have to trust in the process. This is all leading to a point, and you don't just get there by the Fiend or Bray Wyatt just destroying everybody and winning every single match. Like you said, Jodie, there are peaks and valleys, there are ups and downs, and as this character evolves, you're going to see things like we saw at Money in the Bank, and all it does is just add more context to the story that they're going to tell later on.
Yep.
And without the down points, you don't learn anything.
Yep.
So, and that's common knowledge too. Like, without struggles and difficulties, you don't grow and you don't learn. And life can't always be peaches. And unfortunately, like you said, Joe, instant gratification, that is the society that we live in nowadays. Everything is instant gratification. Everybody's, we've lost the art of face-to-face conversation. It's all, digital, and everybody's attached to their phone all the time, and social media is everywhere. Like, everything is about instant gratification. Oh, you want to buy something? Go on Amazon. It's right there, one click away. And we've really lost that art of detaching from that and enjoying the moments and the story, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah, look, I am a proponent of spoilers. I have a spoiler habit. I don't do it for anyone else other than myself. But listen, so I get it, and everybody wants to move forward. You want to know what's coming, but look, in any good horror film, you don't give away what's going to happen in the first moments of the movie.
Right.
You have to.
It's got to build.
Right. You've got to build to the end and what's going to happen down the road. So you're not going to get, look, and I'm going to put out a poll because I just thought of this. I'm going to put out a poll for you guys after this show because I really want to know from the Bray fans, do you guys want Bray to have that title back? I really want to know this because honestly, you guys all saw what happened with Goldberg. You saw what happened, and Jodie mentioned this too. When he becomes the guy who everyone is going after, that changes the narrative. Mm-hmm. The story changes. He can't go into what he's supposed to be doing because he's got that title. So I've seen a bit of a split on this, and I was kind of surprised, to be honest, because we all know what happened with Goldberg. Do you guys really want to see him win that title back again, only to lose it in 2 months at SummerSlam to Roman Reigns? Do you really want to see that? Because
no.
I know I don't. I know I don't.
Well, and go back to the last time, if you've been a Bray fan for a long time, like, go back to the last time he had that belt. He had it for 3 weeks before he lost it to Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and it was devastating.
Yep.
I don't want to see that happen again. Would I love to see him have the title again? Sure. But I want it to be at the right time for him.
Yep.
You know, in a way, I want him to choose that. Let him pick when he wants that belt back.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure there, you know, aspects of Undertaker did that too. I'm sure he got to pick, you know, maybe not specifically say, I want the title on this date, this time, but, you know, I'm sure he had a lot of input on, you know, the title reigns that he did have and how he was going to lose it. And, you know, like you said, Joe, with that belt on him, he becomes the hunted instead of the hunter. And he doesn't need it. He's so great at what he does. And, you know, you can say this about Old Bray too. Old Bray was so good at what he did. He kind of became the person that lost all the time, but you still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't remember me as a Bray fan. I don't remember, oh my gosh, he lost so many times. He was always the guy that lost. I remember all the stories he told and, you know, the feuds that he had and the promos that he did and how awesome he was on the mic. And he's still that way. So you know, to answer your poll, in my own personal opinion, no, I don't want him to get that belt back, at least not now.
No, I agree. It's to me, it's pointless. I really think it's pointless, and I think it'd be a stupid move on their part. And I really hope that they're not doing that because I really hope Vince is not coming to a realization that he screwed up and that he shouldn't have taken it off him in the first place like he did, only to have that whole thing whitewashed by the virus and then have to give that to Braun the way it was. So I hope that it's not just, you know, because WWE has done this in the past where they make a mistake. They really think it's stupid that they did it, and then they try to go back and fix it. And I really hope that that's not going to be the case, just to have that match that Vince initially wanted to have with Roman and Bray, which probably should have been the match that they had at WrestleMania instead of what we got with Cena. So I really hope that that's not the case, but yeah, I'm gonna throw that out there because I'm curious to see what your guys' opinions of that are. Because I know I really just don't think that it's a good thing for Bray to have that belt. What do you think, Jeff?
He doesn't need it. That's just the long and short of it, and it doesn't make sense for the character at this moment.
Yep.
There are a lot of things that he has to change about the past before he can, in my opinion, get on that path to focus on a championship. Yeah. And that's what, you know, when we talked to Kyle and all of us agree with this, WWE backed themselves into a corner when they put the belt on him when they did. It didn't make sense then, and it wouldn't make sense now. And to have them try to overcorrect, you know, what they did between Bray and Goldberg just wouldn't make sense. So I really hope that they let more of the story, more of this character evolve before they even think about putting him back into the title picture because he just doesn't need it. I mean, if you think about, we keep doing the comparisons between Bray and The Undertaker. If you think about it, all those casket matches, all of those, different styles of matches that The Undertaker had, not very many of those matches had the title involved at all.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is because The Undertaker, the character, did not need to have the belt because the story was more important than a championship reign. So I really hope that they don't put the belt back on him anytime soon.
But here's your problem. Braun is your Universal Champion. You go, obviously, we all agree that it's going to be The Fiend versus Braun Strowman at Backlash. How is that going to – you can't have The Fiend go into that match and not win.
You can have him win without getting the belt, though. That's very easy to do. They do that all the time in WWE matches.
It would have to be that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You just, again, and I was alluding to this earlier when I said that The Fiend is now out to punish Braun. Look, they've already said in the storyline that The Fiend does not care at all about that title belt. He doesn't care. So if that's the case, then he's now out to punish Braun Strowman, and not only punish him, but what does The Fiend do? He turns these people, and that's what he is going to want now the most. He doesn't care about that belt. He's going to be out to just punish him, and couldn't care less about pinning him. So they can I think easily go through that match without having a pinfall.
But then again, you're going to get backlash from the fan. It's a very fine line to walk.
Yeah,
you are going to have those fans out there that, just like how upset they were at Hell in a Cell. And I think that's a big reason why he won at the next pay-per-view, is because the backlash from the fans was so bad after that Hell in a Cell, which was unfounded, I think, because when I went back and watched it again, I actually really, really enjoyed it. So if there is some kind of screwy finish and The Fiend wins by DQ or whatever, you're going to get all those fans pissed that he didn't get the belt back. He won and he didn't get the belt.
Yeah, you will. But you know what? Again, and like Jeff mentioned earlier, you mentioned earlier, and while I'm mentioning this, let's give a shout out to Kyle as well again for this too. And if you guys have not seen, Kyle now has artwork up on WWE's shop.
Yes.
If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do it. It's a very early picture that he did of The Fiend, and also one of his more recent ones. So go check that out. They're $29.99 in the shop right now. Grab yourself a great piece of artwork that you can display. They look fantastic. But Kyle always says, and he said this back from, listen, before we even interviewed Kyle on our show, I remember, and this is a shout out to Jodie's Facebook group, because I was in that group longer than I've been doing this podcast. And I can remember when someone in that group was talking about Hell in a Cell, and Kyle responded to that person and said, listen, this is just the beginning. We haven't seen anything yet. And Kyle says that all the time. I don't have any reason to doubt him when he says that, because look, the man knows what's going on. I mean, the man has been consulted behind the scenes, and he knows what is going on with his character. So yeah, look, as Jeff pointed out, we're in it for a long game, and the title does not have to be part of this picture, and I don't think it should be. At least, like Jeff said, at least not now. It now is not the time for the title to be around the waist of Bray Wyatt. Just not now. Somewhere down the road, again, yes, maybe. I'm sure he'll wear that belt again at some point in time, but who knows at that point when it'll be, and maybe then this story is over. Maybe he gets his revenge on Randy Orton, and maybe this part of that story is done, and then he can just go forward as his own character and change the narrative and do what he wants. But yeah, I agree. I don't think that I'm curious though. Like I said, guys, when you listen to the show, please go on, respond to the poll, and tell me why. Tell me why you feel Bray needs to have that title around his waist. I'm really curious to know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, we got a great match, and again, more merch up on the shop. We always mention the merch. I know there's another cool T-shirt I think up there that kind of looks like somebody compared it to the movie The Ring. They said it looks like the Fiend is coming out at you from like a screen.
Yep.
So yeah, man, there's always merch out there, always cool stuff coming out. So yeah, we have got some cool stuff coming for you on this show. And if you've listened to our teasers, you're going to get a little hint of that. So one of the cool things coming up is we like to get special guests coming on to talk to us about Bray. And next week, we are going to have our own Brandy on the show as well. So we're going to get Brandy on to discuss some things Bray and talk about, get Brandy's perspective on the character. She has loves Mick Foley, compared him to Mick as well in the past. So I'm sure we will get a very cool perspective on that. So guys, look, before we get out of here, let's just do some closing thoughts. I know that we're saying what we were thinking of what's coming up on SmackDown. I mean, what do you think is going to be the backlash? Let's ask this question. What kind of match are we going to see at Backlash? Are we going to see another cage match maybe at Backlash? What kind of match is going to be at Backlash? I think I stumped both of them. Jeff, go ahead and start, man. What kind of match you think this is going to be?
I don't think we get a cage match. It would be cool if it was, but I think we get a almost like a street fight.
Okay. No holds barred like Deke. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like a no holds barred. But I think with Jodie's point, how can you do this without, diminishing the Fiend? I think
if you have a no holds barred match, there's no DQs.
It's more difficult that way. That's but I think Joe, you really did stump me. I think that
I aim to please, guys. Hey.
I mean, I think it goes to the point where maybe I don't want to see another finish like we saw at Hell in a Cell.
Right.
But I think one of them, I think it's possible that they just go too far. They take it way too far.
Okay.
And they call it.
And they call it.
Yeah.
And, so I think that's a possibility. But I think that whatever happens, I think it's going to be a screwed up finish. So yeah, that's my thought. You caught me off guard, man.
What if it's just something along the lines of where he just does what he wants to do with Braun and just kind of leaves him laying in the ring, drops that mask on his face, and then boom, and then he's gone. I mean, how many times have we seen him wrestle Daniel Bryan and the Fiend just disappeared?
Yeah. I think there's kind of three ways that you can go with this. One is that the Fiend wins the Universal Championship back, which I would not like to see happen. Yep. Two, Braun retains by a weird finish, but the Fiend wins in a way. And he turns and goes back to the old version of Braun that he used to be. And three, kind of like you said, Joe, that he just beats the crap out of him and then walks away.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Look, I think I really, I'm in agreement with Jodie. I don't want to see him win that title. I really don't. Not now, because we've all heard the rumors. We all know Roman is coming back. So whatever the rumors were before saying that he's fallen out of favor and all this other stuff, apparently he's on his way back. So I don't know. I just don't like it because it sets up for you're coming up on SummerSlam. Backlash is in June. July, I don't know what pay-per-view is in July off the top of my head. And
Extreme Rules.
Extreme Rules. So, I mean, that could be one where they might not even show up. Bray might not even be at that pay-per-view because it's a minor one. And then you've got SummerSlam. So, really, do you want where maybe SummerSlam, I don't know, maybe we even get back to the point where you have fans in a building again? Do you want that to be where Bray loses that belt to Roman Reigns? I certainly don't. I really don't. I mean, so yeah. I
think it would be interesting if Braun retains the title, but he turns and he becomes that heel.
Right.
Because then you have Roman, the good guy, versus Braun, the heel.
Yep. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, Jodie, to be honest with you. Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what my ultimate thing would be to resolve this storyline. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because again, we haven't seen anybody that Bray or that the Fiend has touched that hasn't changed. We haven't seen Cena yet. I still think Cena can play into this. I really do. People have said that, and I still think that can happen. Just because he didn't show up at Money in the Bank doesn't mean anything, because Cena's not going to show up at Money in the Bank to do anything for Funhouse Bray.
No.
So I still think that he can play a part in all this. I don't know when and where, but look, he's not working. He's not doing movies. Very easy to drive down a couple hours or where it is that he lives from where they are, and join into this. So absolutely, that's what I want to see. That's what I hope to see, and so yeah. So let's see where it goes.
So me and C Wrestling were talking about this the other night. Our good old detective.
Yep.
And we kind of discussed this theory of the people that have changed. So what if Seth, Finn, all of those that have Daniel Bryan that have come out with this new persona since that they have had this interaction with the Fiend and let him in, what if the people they used to be, and this can, Cena not being seen can kind of add to that, since WrestleMania, what if the people they used to be are trapped in the funhouse? And what we're seeing is a dark, obviously a dark side of them. And once the Fiend is done with his revenge, they get released. And then they have the ability to either learn from their lessons and continue down the road that they're on this dark persona, or they can go back to who they used to be. They have that choice now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Good idea. Yeah,
the Fiend has gotten his revenge.
Yep.
Now are they going to learn from their lesson?
Yeah. Great point.
Which I thought was an interesting little theory that.
Yeah, definitely.
They're trapped in the funhouse, and maybe that's where Cena is. He's trapped in the funhouse.
Could very well be.
I still think the Fiend is the one in control.
Oh yeah, without
a
doubt.
Bray said that in the beginning that I've learned how to control it. I think that's crap.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. Well, listen, again, the one who's not the dominant persona is always going to think they are in control when they're not. So again, like I said, if you guys haven't watched the movie Split, go and watch it, because you'll understand a little bit about this. And this goes back to, look, there's been so many horror films with split personalities. Norman Bates and Psycho, one of the first and one of the originals with that type of personality. And, Norman Bates always thought he was in control, but it wasn't. It was the mother personality that was always in control and always doing things behind the scenes that he couldn't do. And it's exactly the same way with this, where Funhouse Bray can't do what needs to be done. He couldn't do what needed to be done with Braun. And so, yes, so now the dominant persona has to come out, and the Norman Bates' mom persona of the Fiend has to come out and get the job done. So, yep, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, hey, guys, again, it's been absolutely fun, as always, on Abby's Window. We love coming at you guys every week with everything Bray Wyatt. And, again, we got that little fun vignette in the bump on Sunday. And now we'll see where this goes coming up. And, again, we are your source for all Bray things. And so with that said, Jodie, take us out of here. And we will all talk to you again next week when Brandy comes on the show.
Thank you guys for listening. It's always a pleasure. As we're recording this, I am coming up on a very wonderful shout out to Kyle again. Very wonderful appointment with Kyle this weekend. He's going to be doing some Bray related tattoo for me, and so I'm excited about that. Make sure you go out and get his artwork that's on WWE Shop, and I will make sure to keep you guys posted on the finished work, and hopefully maybe get to talk to him a little bit, see if he'll jump on for an interview. We'll see. I'll have a chat with him.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Absolutely, man. Take care, everybody, and we will talk to you again next week from Abby's Window. See y'all later, everyone.